Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, to a new episode. Today we have as guest Default, and we shall talk with him about his project of building a communist USA. With that being said, let's get Default on the show. Hello there. Default?
Okay, hang on.
Hello there.
Hang on. All right, I have to mute the playback for the stream because I was hearing double. Okay.
Yep, the technicalities. How about you introduce yourself and your project?
Yeah, I go by default. I'm trying to build an online Discord server for the purpose of organizing tankies online in the United States.
You want to organize them for what exactly?
Well, in order to make communism more mainstream in the U.S., that's the intent. That's the goal of the server. That's what my project is about.
Okay, awesome. So let's start with the proverbial beginning. Why do you think now it's the time that the USA needs to go communist? What's this? Because we all heard the tropes, we all know the history. Communism did this, communism did that, communism failed. Why communism now in the USA?
Well, I mean, you can just take the complete mishandling of the COVID pandemic by the United States. It's I mean the way that the U.S. government handled it was just a complete shit show, and there's really no other side, no other like movement or ideology that can offer a way out of the current crisis other than communism.
Okay, can you be more specific? Like, I would like to hear your opinion, your perspective on two things. One, when you're talking about the government mishandling the COVID pandemic, are you talking about both Trump administration and Biden administration? Do you have one over the other, or
Yeah,
they are
of
both
course, of course.
equally? Okay, so both equally
I don't want to
problematic.
get into like who's the worst, but both Democrats and Republicans have totally bungled the handling of the crisis.
Oh, definitely. And I don't believe that right now is the moment to pointing fingers, like you said, on who is the bigger uh, problem or who was is the thing to do. But we still need to say, hey, you did these things wrong and you did those things wrong, because otherwise we don't have anything proper, clear to critique, and we cannot move forward with some solution. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but at the current moment, I think the critique at the level of like getting into the details of policies seems to me a yeah. I don't think it's a good allocation of your time or like the, because who's the person, who are the people making these critiques? It's like people like you and I who have very little influence or power or say. So we can come up with our critiques and come up with the perfect solution, like perfect policy to be implemented instead. But if we don't have any power, then this kind of discussion is kind of it's meaningless. It's pointless.
Yeah, sure, but let me
And that's why
disagree with you.
that's why I'm yeah that's why I'm
Sorry, go ahead, go
focusing on the
ahead.
project. Yeah, that's why I'm
Sure,
focusing on the
I
project.
I hear what you say. I'm saying that yes, do focus on your project, but I also keep to my idea that if we are going to promote another system, another ideology, pretty huge change of how things are being done, we need to sometimes to get down to the specifics. As for example, I see other streamers, other YouTuber streamers on Twitch talking about communism, about Marxism, Leninism, and so on, and they talk about theory very much. And as I believe it was the last guest, Shibi, was talking, that is very much akin to fetishizing theory and dead people. And I don't see that as something very, I don't know, constructive, conductive,
Yeah, yeah. I think I would agree with that. Yeah, this like yeah, there is this problem within ML or communist or tanky communities where they just focused on uh, these very abstract and very arcane points of contention in theory, where they focus on very detailed like differences they have with each other over some historical event, and it's completely unhelpful to the current moment. Like it, these are debates that tankies often find themselves mired in that have nothing to do with where said tanky exists in time and space. It has nothing to
so
do with their
to
concrete reality.
Yeah, exactly. So to be sure, you have no problem with theory or reading theory, debating theory, just not let that part be the entirety of your activity, online activity or offline. And
Yes, I mean, I would call for like a position of tanky unity. Like I'm anti-sectarian. Like I think tankies need to unite in action, but you can still have diversity in opinion or ideology. Like you can have disagreements over this point of history, this is or this point of theory, but you can't let those but tankies can't let those disagreements become something that they split with one another over. And that happens, and this kind of unnecessary counterproductive splitting happens all the time.
yep, I have to agree with you on this point. So these days, I see lots of talks about Medicare for all. I've seen other communists, MLs, all sorts of left flavors talking that they would go and join various protests which are being done offline. Do you see these
Mhm.
demonstrations, these marches as an important event? Is it something that a communist or other ML flavor motivated people should go and engage to and engage with?
I think to engage with offline, like these offline, like like real life movements or activities or demonstrations, I don't I don't think it makes much sense to just engage as just another member of the demonstration or march. I think I think I think it would be much more worthwhile if you know a tanky could find a group of other tankies that live near them, and then they could form a little cell, organize, and then try to use one of these demonstrations as a way to organize, to spread their ideas, or to try to recruit new people, or perhaps they can even try to take a take a leadership role or position in such activities in the future.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think I
I'm
think that
sharing
would only
on.
work if if they could find other tankies that they could organize with. I don't think one tanky isolated by themselves is going to be very effective in such offline activities.
Yeah, I hope you can see on my screen. I'm sharing one advertisement for such march in where is that? Lincoln Park, Washington D.C., July 24.
On screen. Okay, yeah, Medicare for all March. Yeah, I see this.
Yeah, so it's example of.
Well, yeah, like if there's any tankies that live near Washington D.C., I'm going to guess there are. Um, let's see. I'm reading the what the event is about. Oh, am I having some mic problems?
No. Just a bit of
Hello?
static. Just a bit of static.
Okay. Is it better now?
Much. Yeah. Yep. Much better.
Yeah, just if there's any audio issues from my end, just let me know immediately so I can try to fix it.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so a short pro schedule, some speakers.
I don't think so. I don't think Tanky should like just tail these movements and just like uncritically support them. I think communists should like if they're going to do get involved with these kinds of activities. I really think they should like try to put their stamp on it, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Either
how
either they either use it as a way to try to recruit more people locally into their group, or they reach out to the leadership and try to see how they can get more involved.
okay, that makes sense. Going to the leadership
But
and
I
proposing
mean,
certain sets
with
of
with the
I
this, yeah, you go ahead.
no, just I was saying going to the leadership and proposing certain ideas, certain projects.
Well, yeah, like or try to figure out like try to like figure out what. 'Cause, okay, so like take this march. This march is organized by some people or some group. Maybe like a tanky group, like a local Washington D.C. tanky group, if such a thing exists. A group of communists could try to enter one of the organizations that are organizing these demonstrations and see how they can be of value, contribute to such an organization.
Yeah, this the people who are organizing this specific event, of course. Let me see. Okay, of course. Weird website. But they say is a non-partisan collective of organizations. So non-partisan, no thingy. Oh, and talking about partisanships, I saw a Gallup poll stating that 62% of US adults say the parties do such a poor job representing the American people that a third party is needed. Okay. Considering these stats, this poll combining this perspective with the environment created by the COVID crisis, uh, do you think this is an environment more
Yeah.
or
This is
less favorable?
I've seen statistics for like that try to gauge the appetite of Americans for a major new party, and I think I've seen polling or statistics that say that even majorities in both the Democrat and Republican parties support the formation of a major new party. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like especially with like yeah Jimmy Dore pushing like the movement for a People's Party.
Oh yeah, what
I
do you
don't
think
like
about that
I
initiative?
think I think I think like if there's ever to be any sort of you know any sort of movement towards communism in the United States, the left, like broad, like the broad left. I don't just mean like socialists or communists here, but the left as it's broadly understood in the United States has to get out of the Democratic Party. It has to break free from the Democrats and become independent, and and if need be, which is going to be most of the time, hostile to the Democrats.
So opportunity, yes, but this split could also come with problems, and you still are hoping that enough group of enough a big enough group of people should be able to gather and form something new, right?
Um, okay, wait, can you can you rephrase that? I'm not sure I understood your question.
Okay, I'm saying that usually when there is a group, a party, an entity, and there is a split in it, you just
Mhm.
don't get two 50-50 pieces. Certain people are going to drift away, move maybe to the Greens, to the Republicans, or will just be disaffected and no longer be willing to engage with the new formation, the
Yeah,
new
yeah,
apparatus.
sure, sure.
So
I
the
mean,
question was,
ideally, yeah, ideally anybody who leaves the duopoly would join like a single party. But I think even having like multiple like smaller third parties, but having like more people join those third parties would still be a an improvement to our current situation.
okay, okay. Do you have any idea how do you change this general, I don't know, perspective, this sort of cultural biases that you only have two parties, although they are extremely inefficient, and how you transition in the cultural realm, in the discourse, in the public discourse, from America is a two-state party or something like that to something that is more diverse and has even communist flavors.
Well, I don't. Okay, if we look at American history, right? I'm no, even though I support third parties, I don't I think it's a mistake that third parties make, and I see the Greens make this, and I think I also see the MPP make this mistake, where they basically hype up the their ability and their chances of basically overtaking one of the two main parties. You know, for the case of MPP and the Green Party, they're trying to overtake the Dems. They're trying to like replace the Dems as like as the second major party. And I don't think this is likely. But what is needed though
Okay.
is to you know is to look back in American history at times when independent like third parties have played a much larger role and have had much more power in American politics. And I'm thinking about specifically the time of the 30s, during FDR's Democratic Party and his presidency. Like at that time, you had very powerful third parties, including like socialist and communist parties that had like reached their peak membership in American history. But you also had all sorts of other like third party populist party organizing efforts all throughout the country. And basically, the way like even though these third parties never held presidency, I don't think they had much success on any national electoral level. They may have. I don't think they got any governorships. They may have gotten like a mayorship every now and then. Um, even so, like even though these third parties weren't viable on a national level, they still were able to essentially force the Democrats to the left, like and also the Republicans. Like they were able to force both parties to the left because these third party efforts, um, these independent organizations like that were to the left of the Democrats, they were able to uh, demonstrate that they had an active electorate that was willing to refuse to vote for either party. And so if either party, if either the Democrats or Republicans wanted the votes of the people that were supporting and voting for these third parties, they would need to win them over by making concessions. They would need to make like substantive policy concessions. And that's exactly what happened when FDR took power. He made concessions to his left because he was trying to win over the voters who would otherwise be voting for a third party, even though these voters knew that the third party would not win national general election. So I think that if I think the way to basically break through this lesser evil or third parties it's a waste of vote, it's to push this historical narrative instead of trying to pretend like within the near future you could have a viable third party that could actually take, win a general election.
No, nice. When you say a viable third party, what do you mean by it? Like, what does a
Just
third
in the
party,
sense that the
let's
third
say,
party could
uh,
basically
a
replace or
communist party? Yeah, yeah, but what, in order, let's say, a third party, it will be a group of communists. What would they need in order to qualify? What would be the check boxes to say, hey, this, if these items are present, then it is a viable third option?
um, well, just speaking generally, a viable party would be one that could win, like win elections. That I think that's what I mean by it. I think that's how that term, like a viable party, is generally, or a viable candidate is generally used among like the political sphere.
Okay, that would imply a certain amount of members, a membership, an
Yeah, membership,
infrastructure,
support. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
funding, supporters, like
funding. Yeah, yeah.
I'm implying that a certain level of logistics and
Yeah,
organizational
yeah.
skills would be needed. Okay, now because uh, I hear this discourse all the time, not necessarily what you spoke, what you spoke earlier, but I hear people talking about all the time about starting a new party, a new initiative, a new this and a new that, but people always gloss over about this type of specific requirements because if you have 50 people which are dedicated, you can and motivated and properly financed and organized, you can achieve great things. If you have 500, 5,000, and so on, you can achieve different things. But to imagine that, oh, we are here a couple of, I don't know, hundreds or even thousands, but other item, very important items like logistics, organizations, people with experience in organizing a party are lacking, or to interpret data, to promote yourself on social media, managing all this stuff. If all that thing, any of these pieces is lacking, then the overall movement is greatly at risk, and usually people are more stuck with the generic, oh, let's make a party and something magic awesome will happen. There is a gap between the initiative and
Yeah,
what
yeah,
should be the end
yeah.
result.
Trying to form a successful group or organization or party, it takes more than just having good intentions. You actually there's a science and art to it, and if you don't understand it, then you won't have much success.
Yeah, I would like to get some people on my show who have previous experience working with parties, not necessarily at the highest, presidential type of organization and elections, but people who have experience organizing even smaller campaigns for town, running for a mayorship or something, and at whatever level, and get their insights and what is happening behind the curtains.
Yeah, yeah. That would be that would be an interesting thing, interesting conversation to have. I think more communists need to be having those kinds of conversations. Really, like they need to get out of just debating each other, like other communists, as to like the points that they disagree on, and try to actually figure out how to build stuff, build organizations, build groups. Like I'm not saying that they need to build like a party, because there's probably we have too many of those around. I think just start building some sort of group, like and start trying to grow it. That's essentially what I'm trying to do with my Discord and my project.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I considered this conversation something that we need to have. The fact that you are trying to build an organization and you are aware of the need for structure, and a type of structure that can be easily shown to everybody, that is there, the logistics are there, the people are there, and can be easily replicated and exported or upgraded, inspired from other places. And that's the thing lacking. Instead of having a bunch of people sitting in a Discord server sharing memes and laughing at, I don't know, Trotskyist jokes or something.
Yeah. I mean, the problem here there is it's the sharing of the memes. That's part of the culture of Discord. Like you need to be able to first, it's building up a Discord server, especially if you don't have any sort of fame or clout beforehand, is quite difficult if you're trying to start from scratch. So like there's a very like there is an art to just building up a simple Discord server. But if you just simply you need to create like within your server you have to create uh, like a fun, you have to create an environment, a culture that people want to come back to and want to
Ascribe.
participate in.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Ascribe
then you
to.
have to also be
Uh,
careful that the culture itself is not fueled by like, because okay, like if you look at a lot of tanky discords or communities, their culture is essentially fueled by infighting. That's that's kind of thing that keep people coming back. It's like you have like an enemy of the week or enemy of the month, and then like the people on the in group of the server feed off of the people that are getting shitted upon.
Okay, so I've been on social media and Discord for some time, and definitely from time to time, and in various servers, I would hear about default. Oh, default this, default that, oh, that default, and various instances with default being the main topic. Can you expand on it and how you got to be popular
Mm.
with?
I mean, I've spent the last 2 or 3 years like a lot of my like probably most of my free time just on Discord, particularly like hanging like being very active, like a very active poster and user of a bunch of different tanky or communist ML discords. And I guess I've established a bit of a notoriety or infamy for myself. But yeah, I guess my reputation precedes me.
Well, I hope it is in a good thing because I've heard some of the things people were saying, and then of course we've kind of met and we started talking, and I said like, hey,
Ah.
most of those things didn't match the reality or something.
Well, okay. This is actually very interesting because I think we met on my server, right? Like on the Tanky Media Collective, right? Or maybe we met
Yeah,
on
yeah.
okay. See, like
We were
people act very.
definitely one another server, and then we got here got
I
together on
think
the
this
Tanky
goes
Media.
back to the whole like server culture thing because I think people act very differently depending on which server they're on, just because of the culture of that server. Like when I'm in a space that I don't have like any control or power over, which was like the past 2 or 3 years of my time on Discord, I act differently than when I'm in my own server and I'm the owner of that server. Like I don't have to be nearly as aggressive or hostile in order to like assert myself in my own server because I'm the server owner. I'm like within my own server, I don't have to worry about any sort of anything like that. But then in
Well,
another place, I think like if you yeah.
yeah, sure. Go ahead, go ahead. 'Cause you are telling a nice story.
Yeah, I think if you're in a place where you don't have any power, then you act one way, and if you're in a place where you do have power, you can act far more relaxed and far more at ease. And I think if I could redo the past 2 or 3 years, I think I would have started trying to build my own thing, my own server far earlier. Like I regret not doing that from the very beginning.
But it's okay. I hope there is great deal of experience in there, and that you have learned plenty of lessons and are willing to do things differently in this new
Yes.
server.
Yeah, I've learned quite a bit. Yeah, I've learned quite a bit from my time on Discord, and I think I have like I have like ideas as to how like a server like especially one that's intended for like serious political work should be run.
Okay, so let's name some names. I've read, I believe it was on Twitter, that in the next period of time, or at least there is talk about Vosh debating Charlie Kirk, like hard lol
Oh,
on that.
oh,
Yeah, so I believe the hype and the importance given to this event and to the entire genre of debate is way overrated. What is
mhm.
your opinion about this specific event and about the more
I think you
broad?
really have to look at like where the hype is coming from and who's hyping it up, because it you always have to think about like you have to think concretely. I think you can't just think from like a position of abstract like an abstract universal position like you're God and you're just abstractly judging upon creation. No, I think you have to think like for like the case of the left, like the broad left, and I include like the synthetic left in here. I think that this sort of debate is important because it's really the only thing that the left can do. Hang on, I need to take a call.
Sure.
Hello, what is it? Yeah, she told me. Yeah, I think Robert drove it.
Okay, let's let him finish his talk, and we'll have him back right away. Yeah, Vosh will be debating Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. Like, come on Tim Pool's show.
All right, okay, all right. He's at North Point Parkway. Yeah,
Vosh is
he's about principle. Is there anything else, Dan? Yeah, okay. Yeah, what is it, Dan? I'm busy right now. I'm taking a call right now. I'm in a meeting.
okay. Ping me when you are done. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Confirmation. Jesus Christ. Superstar. No. Let's say your plane crashes on island. Yeah. Interesting comments here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Are you back? Default? Check, check. Yeah, so the comments are going command. Like, come on, people. Nice, nice. Trolling. Yeah. 1v3? That's interesting. Mhm. Okay, default having some technical issues. I'm sure that he will be back right again.
Oh, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear. Welcome back.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm having some, I was having some like
Yeah,
mic difficulties connecting.
technical thing is, yeah, so I'm sharing the, yes, it is confirmed, August 3rd, something bullshit about,
Yeah.
like,
This is
I
the
don't know,
Vosh.
sorry?
Was this the Vosh debate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I believe that people really uh, give too much attention to this kind of debates, and there isn't much to be gained because they aren't really arguing for something constructive. It's just, oh, my opinion is better
Yeah.
than your opinion. And they go with the usual tropes like capitalism kill. Why do you want to kill people, Charlie? No, communism kills. Why do you want to kill people, Vosh? And that, I believe, it's a very low level to have of IQ, intelligence, logic, whatever you want to frame it as, to have a conversation. So.
Well, I think that okay. I would agree that I would agree with you that these kinds of debates are not the kind of forum or avenue where you would have a serious discussion about ideas. But I think that these kinds of public debates, and I'm guessing these are going to like this Vosh Kirk debate is going to be public. These kind of public debates are very important for building a group or a movement because that's how you really, you know, it's these kinds of debates that really can grow or shrink a movement or a community, if that makes sense. It's really all about it's all about the show and in politics, especially politics in the United States, the show, the spectacle is very important. You need to be good at creating spectacles in order to gain support. Gain new members who join your group or your movement or your community.
Yeah, let's say that I do agree with your point. I disagree with sort of the way it is done, as it ultimately is just like with any other debate. You'll have, I don't know, Shapiro between brackets selling houses to Aquaman, if you know the meme, versus I don't know, another person, and everybody will go to strong will use any logical fallacy possible, and will be trying to frame the other in a very stupid way. And
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know, I
Yeah, and
was
like
reading a comment,
when you're
and
debating about these topics to a larger audience that really don't know like the details, it's really a lot of the debate isn't about your pure arguments and the evidence, right? It's really about personalities. It's about it's about making yourself look good while hang on, I got a message on the stream. It says it seems like one of your streams is having connection issues. Hello?
no,
Am
no,
I
I can hear
hello?
you.
Okay,
I
okay,
can
I'm
hear
still
you.
good. Okay. Yeah, so with these sorts of public debates, it's all about making yourself look good while making your opponent look bad. You know?
Yeah, but again, ultimately, we as an audience, if we have a proper problem to address and we want to see it addressed by the people on stage, we don't have much to gain from it because, like, the last couple of days, I debated, sort of debated. I didn't it wasn't a real debate. It wasn't a debate. I literally wiped the floor with the other person like twice
I
in
think you
a very short.
you can still have a debate if even if you have a it's still a debate if you have a stunning victory, right? Or a terrible
Yeah,
defeat.
yeah, I agree. The thing is that we are debating. We are theoretically debating, but more like I was schooling him on the topic of the impact of automation on both the immigrants and the local population. And I
Right.
was presenting data and giving hard facts about, hey, look, automation is chipping away silently and unknowingly, and you don't see a huge deal. It isn't a huge problem because you don't see entire sectors like you have the driver sectors being 500,000 people being put out in a year out of their jobs. Okay, you see small increments and slowly creeping. The automation is slowly replacing workers, and right now with COVID, you have even more reason and more justification as a corporation, as a owner, to replace these workers with machines, yet nobody is talking about it in a meaningful way. And every time I was bringing the point that, hey, look, these people who are losing their jobs are real human beings with families. They are fathers, mothers, parents, relatives of someone. They have bills, they have house mortgages, loans to pay, and so all sorts of things. And losing your job is a really problematic thing, especially when there isn't
Right. Right.
much of
So
option. Yeah,
let me
and
guess. Like your
mm,
opponent did not register any of your arguments. They you couldn't get through to them. They there was no sort of they
yeah,
just doubled
yeah,
down on the position.
yeah, exactly. On the other side, all I could find and all I could hear was, yeah, somebody will magically put up a policy, and a magical policy will happen and will magically be voted in by magical people and will help poor, the people who got poor. Like, dude, this is not how what history shown us. This is not how the USA function. It takes a great deal of effort, and that effort isn't simply put there.
Do you have the
And instead,
Yeah, like do you, so here's what I would say. Like if you're so when you're in these public debates, right? And I like if you're talking about like the Sonsal debate, I don't think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that wasn't very public. That was only like how many people were even watching that debate, or how many people have even seen that. So it's
I
like
don't know,
even
50,
then,
100 or something.
okay, that's not a small. That's not a small amount of people. I mean, for streaming or for social media, perhaps it is, but like people, with these public debates, the point is not to try to change the mind of your opponent, of your debate partner, or your debate opponent. The point really is to like look good for anybody who might like who's in attendance, who's in the audience, or who might if this is recording, if this is a recorded debate, who might watch the debate later. That's who your audience should be. That should be the focus of who you're trying to appeal to.
For
So
the
if they're going to
purpose of
be if they're going to double down and they're going to be silly absurd, then you should just point it out, and you should drive home in the minds of anybody who might be watching just how silly and absurd your debate partner is.
Definitely, I did that, and in both cases, the audience at large and the in the second time we had a moderator, everybody agreed that my position and my arguments were like way better framed and
Ah.
with much more care than
Yeah, and
whatever Sonsol.
this is within Sonsal's own community, right? Because you were debating on
Yes.
so like if you can do that within like basically hostile territory, like if you can go into somebody else's like somebody's own Twitch or Discord. Hang on.
based. Hello, Lazule.
Hello? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I had to take another call. What was I talking about? Like, oh yeah, if you can actually go into a like somebody's own like home turf, their Discord server or their Twitch channel, and you can like win over the people there, like the loyal fans of that person. That's very impressive. Like if you can do that
Yeah.
to people who are loyal, who like the person you're debating, just imagine what you can do to just random people who might stumble upon the debate if if ever the video or recording of the debate gets released.
Well, maybe I kind of need to, I don't know, to have a different relationship with this debate kind of environment. Because, in my opinion, let's get together, let's not necessarily debate, but let's disagree, and with the purpose of finding a better solution. Because our time on the platform is limited, our lives are sort of limited as the amount of time and energy.
Sorry.
Uh,
You cut out a bit on my end. So like I heard our
okay.
time on the platform is limited, and then you cut out.
Yeah, so the time on the platform is limited. Also, real-time life is limited. So
Yeah,
let's
sure.
talk about how we can do more constructive stuff. As ultimately, right now, the everybody is trying to have the gotcha moment, and I believe that's
Okay,
like
okay.
it's nice,
I
is
see what
good,
yeah.
but
I think I see what you're saying. Okay, like you're not necessarily against having like a public discussion with other people, right? Including people who might disagree with you or might even be hostile to you. You're just it sounds to me like the criticism you're making of like the current like culture, online culture, is that people are just looking to own, their a partner, right? Their opponent. They're just trying to like they're trying to make them look bad. They're acting in bad faith, right? So
yep, yep.
yeah, okay. This gets to like I guess this gets to like a very like tactical question as to how you conduct these sorts of interactions. I think that you should always like I've had a discussion with Sansal as well, right? And I felt like I was actually able to get through to him on a certain level, even though I think the interaction with between me and him had begun with like a bunch of other people who were essentially just like basically trying to own him, like a bunch of other tankies who were trying to own him in his Discord. But I was able to maneuver the interaction into a place of like good faith where we could actually have like we disagreed with one another, but we had a like an open and honest and good faith dialogue. And I think that should be the goal. That should be the goal of having any sort of conversation. But then like you have bad actors. You definitely have people that act in bad faith. And when that comes about, you have to also be willing to, like if they're going to try to make you look like a fool, you have to be able to respond in some way. And I think like having a sort of quid pro quo, tit for tat, you retaliate in kind. I think that's a good strategy, like a good a good tactic to adopt. Or
Well,
maybe
I agree.
maybe maybe you don't even engage in that kind of monkey business, the like the kind of blood sports, and maybe you try to adopt your you try to maintain your your sort of persona of neutrality or objectivity, and you just point out that the other person is being in bad faith or something like that. You know, I'm not saying that I don't think everybody needs to be like a debate bro and just try to like destroy their opponent. But then it's tricky. It's tricky. Like it's really about the kind of persona you want to cultivate in public. It's how I think that's an important part of it.
Well, this ties in with what you said just a couple of moments ago about winning over members from those communities. And see, this is a place where I kind of have issues, as I'm not referring to, for example, Sonsol's communities, which was pretty decent. Sonsol was pretty okay. Yes, of course, he hold his positions because ultimately we were supposed to do it in a certain framework, and I never told him, hey, let's sort of discuss this topic and see how we can solve it. Okay, it was the debate bro kind of engagement, so I'm okay with that. But I'm saying that in larger communities you see lots of toxicity, and we can
Yeah,
easily
yeah,
point to Vash and classical huge streamers who have this like extremely stupid takes, and not only they are stupid, they lie to your face. They lie to your face, they call you a Nazi for no reason, and then they
yeah,
say, well,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I was right, and they use their own stupidity. I'm not educated on the topic, thus you are incorrect, your position is false, and so on. And that and winning the people who are stuck in those communities, I maybe I don't clearly see the value of winning those people over, because if you are stuck and you are watching a toxic person, maybe your place is there. Maybe you should stay there, even if you are a tank, even if you can be useful in other community. In my community, I don't know. Maybe my fear would be that you would bring too much of that toxicity, bad faith, low
Oh, yeah.
IQ argument over, and will, I don't know, muddy the waters, lower the
Well,
overall
here's
quality
what
of
I think.
what you're trying to do.
I think if tankies are trying to vie for power, which I think we should be trying to do, we should be trying to every time, everywhere, and always like find out ways we can increase our power. I don't think you can be picky. I think you have to if you can reach out, if all you can do is like reach out to these people, then you have to like get better at doing that. Like, and I think there are definitely ways to get better at doing that, to like win over people that are in Vosh's community. Like I've seen it happen. I've seen his own. I've seen there have been times where Vosh's own community has like gone against him because like he's just made such a bad take, and somebody has clearly like demonstrated to Vosh that he's made a terrible argument or terrible take. And I think the most notable example relevant for tankies is Vosh's like battle with Hakim. Like in the end, it was Hakim's own like they didn't debate face to like I guess not face to face, but like they didn't debate in real time, but they made video responses at one another. And Hakim's videos just so clearly and coolly and calmly just destroyed Vosh's arguments. And it was so obvious the like superiority of Hakim's position that even Vosh's own fans were convinced. And they basically like they basically turned on Vosh and they pressured Vosh so much that like Vosh had to relent and let Hakim onto one of his live streams.
So
As
what
to the
was
point about bringing in like toxic culture, yeah, that is a problem. Like, but that is not a problem just for like Vosh's community. The internet in general is a very toxic and like hostile place. Which is why when you create like a community, like when I'm building the Tanky Media Collective, my our Discord server, I make sure to emphasize moderation. I make sure to emphasize the server rules, which one of them include like basically one of them bans this kind of toxicity. Like I'm all for having any sort of debate, freedom of speech in my server. You can debate any topic, but you can't be rude. You can't be malicious towards other members of the server. So I think the problem of people bringing in toxicity can be addressed by having good moderation and cultivating a good culture within the spaces that you control. That
well, hope it won't be too much of an effort, and won't be too many people with this kind of stuff, especially now in the beginning when you are growing a sort of a core amount of people with good values and stuff to have it tainted with people who are not necessarily toxic, but have the even worst type of toxicity, are dishonest or double-faced, and
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like you're you're cutting out pretty badly on my end. I don't know
oh,
if it's a problem with my connection or if it's a problem with your
it's okay. It's okay. I will say that again. No problem. I'm saying that it is even more important right now in the beginning to pay attention to such a theme, the toxicity and stuff, because you are trying to build something, and if you cannot start with a proper group of people, a core which has some very good values and good practices, and you let in these toxic people, at least the toxic people can be easily seen and you can boot them very easily. But if you allow low standards, dishonesty and stuff, that can very easily jeopardize your project.
Yeah. Like the way I'm looking at building my Discord is that like I'm basically I allow in anybody, but I make sure that they follow the rules. I'm pretty strict about that. So that's the way I approach this issue. Like since I'm the server owner, like in the end, responsibility for for stuff that happens on the server ultimately falls on my shoulders. So I think as long as I maintain, so long as I keep true to these principles and values, I think the server as a whole will also be like that.
By the way, are you familiar with YouTuber Luis Rossmann?
Sorry. Am I familiar with what?
Luis Rossmann. Let me put it.
Are you talking about Gonzalo, Chairman Gonzalo?
No. Luis Rossmann is this repair person, right to repair. Well, check his channel. Anyway, why I'm pointing it out from time to time. Uh, he's a person got a small business at a certain point in time. It was a small business in New York, and then he worked and got it bigger. He tells his story on this channel, but also he talks about his efforts to promote right to repair. And beyond the obvious right to repair and why it is important, this channel and this person is a very good example of what you can achieve if so to say, the discourse is changed just a bit and improved, and the quality of the message and the fact that you follow practical ends, practical things, you have milestones, what you can achieve, because he started just talking about him and his business of repairing laptops and iPhones, and then he got involved with the legislature, and he tried to he not he only he tried he went to all these meetings with congressmen and hearings, and he talked about why it is important to have your right and stuff. But every time he went back to his channel and spoke very constructively about what he wants to achieve. And right now it seems that his project, and not only his, because there are other people involved with the right of repair, is gaining momentum and achieving some very important milestones, like going through various legislators. And I believe even Biden, let's see if I have even Biden said that, Biden signs executive order on right to repair. Okay, now what it will mean, or how it will be implemented, and so on, the effect on legislation, that's another topic. But, to
Hello?
start and get your discourse. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's the connection's getting really bad for me.
It's okay. I will wrap this up in a moment. So I'm saying that this type of person with a proper discourse r- succeeded in gathering people and their efforts and their support, because they donated quite a lot of money, and with a certain level of transparency, and succeeded in what he proposed. So that's why I'm saying lots of streamers are on YouTube, on Twitch, and other platforms, and they get busy with this toxic type of engagement. If even small percentage of that discourse would be, you know, changed, would have the direction changed to something constructive and with a clear end in the real world, in the physical world, I believe great things could happen. And that is part of my proposal. Hey, let's change the way we debate. 'Cause it's okay to debate. I don't have a problem with debating, gotcha, and stuff like that. But let's find the moment in which we tackle specific problems. Like in your case, we tackle the problem of cooperation between various ideological groups and so on to form a unity.
Yeah, but right now, like if you're just talking from your own perspective, even trying to change this kind of culture is going to be very difficult, especially if you only have if you're very small. So it's like, you know, I do agree with what you're saying about like the need for the broader culture among the left, among tankies to change, especially in the way that that you lay out. Yeah.
Well, it's an open invitation. I'm putting the message out there. Okay, yeah, sure, we can have the classical debate. That's no problem. But let's also have the piece where we have something that we can build upon. We something constructive. We can build together on certain topics. Okay, not just gotcha for the sake of gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So would you basically suggest like these sort of tactical coalitions with you know groups that like are you perhaps suggesting the formation of these sort of like trying to find what even common ground even between like tankies and breadtube or something?
Oh, absolutely. I don't care about tags as long as we can see, hey, this is a problem and this is how we can tackle it. The simple fact that we can talk specifics, okay, I believe can be a great example for the people watching, and they will understand. Hey, these people are really talking about doing something which has an impact. It spills into real life. It's not just I made a video debunking your video. You made about me debunking your video, my video, and debunking your and stuff like that. No, it's something. Hey, we found a problem in the real world, and we tried to I don't know break it down into pieces and see how it's efficient. And you literally give an example in about organizing, about logistics, about garnering support, and how to do it. And you literally put the recipe of how to achieve your goal within the political, socio-economical policy, laws, and
Because
stuff. You literally show the
problem I,
recipe to the people.
the problem I see with that is like, okay, even if there is some points of agreement between tankies and breadtube on like on a very specific narrow point, I think that there is like a very fundamental and important disagreement that I really don't see any bridging happen unless like one side were to essentially stop being who they were. Like either tankies would have to stop being tankies or breadtubers would just have to stop being breadtubers or something like that. Like specifically this is the point I'm thinking about right now is this the split that's going on in the broad left between the anti-establishment, independent left populists, like people like Jimmy Dore, against the people like the people that against breadtubers and like TYT, and basically the synthetic left, the left that shills for the Democratic Party. Like what there is no Like one side has to budge, like has to yield on this point. They have to like give up their position on this point and move over to the other side. I don't see any way of reconciling this split. Nor do I think that the split should be reconciled. I think this split like has to be deepened. I think that when it comes to this point, one side's clearly right and one side's clearly wrong, and the stakes of being right or wrong for this particular point are so important that you know really I think like something like a really there really should be no sort of it just puts any sort of like tactical unity between one side and the other. I'm not sure that that would work. I'm not even sure that would be a good thing overall, even if it could happen.
Well, I don't know. The call for let's discuss constructively on certain topics. It's out there, and let's see if it can gather people or if it will split people. You know, let's see what happens. Okay, so last. Not only that I've read, I'm also familiar with the history of the various communist formations, parties in the USA, and not almost, I believe, let's say almost, if not every time, those parties were infiltrated and sabotaged. Okay. Yes, I know, not the best and most positive note to kind of wrap this up. And of course, various alphabet free later agencies sanctioned by the government and the powers that be had a hand in infiltrating and sabotaging, keeping under control these movements. And you said that right now there is this opportunity. How do how able and how do you think that you can beat the system? Because considering the history, do you think you can do better?
I don't think you can play spy games or counter intel games with like the CIA or anything like that. I think instead of trying to like figure out who's a mole and who's a traitor, instead of trying to do that, I think we should just focus on trying to build organizations or institutions that are robust against such infiltration, meaning that even if, like, let's say a spy or an agent, right, were to get into a position in power, they really couldn't be able to do anything because, like, perhaps like they would need to, like, like we need to build essentially organizations that don't have these kinds of weak points, where like if somebody gets into a certain position, they can just basically devastate the organization. So essentially, I think really organizations have to become far more democratic, because I think it's far
Okay.
harder to like if you actually root the power of the organization in the rank and file members. I think it would be much harder for these intelligence agencies to infiltrate, because they would need to like if they would need to spend like way more resources to just get people like to become like become like the rank and file members.
Okay. So get focused on the work, use people to distribute the power and give them power, and things will be harder to be overtaken. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is I think it would be far harder to take over or take over or do damage to a group if there aren't any like positions that are singularly powerful within that group.
Well, okay, that's a very good answer. So, listen, this was a nice, interesting, insightful conversation. I would, and I was talking about people discussing about you and this and that, and I would rather have a conversation and associate with someone who maybe failed time after time or didn't succeeded. But yeah, that's the definition of of failure. But you still want to try again and again. Okay, so I would see a sort of collaboration and engagement with someone like you way better than whatever is outside of let's try again and let's try to build something better than last time, as an ending note. So thank you, Default, for coming on the stream. Good luck with your project. Link for Default Discord server will be put in the comments. Go there, talk with him, exchange ideas, visions, and of course, very importantly, get to work. Default, if you have any last message, future events, I don't know, promote channel and stuff, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll just end by promoting my server, the Tanky Media Collective. Yeah, Moff said that you can find the invite link to the server in the comment sections. I think he'll pin, like, I'll leave a comment there, and Moff will pin the comment so everybody can see it.
Yep. Okay. With that being said, thank you for joining, listening, commenting. I've been Moff with Memories of the Future. Do subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, follow us on Twitter, and let's continue the discussion next episode. Bye.
Bye.